name is Yefim Nares. I'm Vice President and Gartner Distinguished Analyst. And my location is Stamford, Connecticut, in the United States, where the headquarters of Gartner Company is. My space of research is enterprise computing and platform technology for enterprise computing. And I'd like to talk here briefly about the new challenges that exist in that space. New projects that are built today need to take into account the changing environment. You may begin by simply looking at business requirements for the new project, but you have to understand that these business requirements are fast changing. The technology that is available to you is also changing. There is now increasingly the choice between building the application in a traditional manner, or building it in public cloud, or building it in a private cloud. And this is a very important choice that is going to influence the outcome of the project and longevity of the software that you build. One important thing that you want to keep in mind is that you want to avoid building new applications which are instantly, as soon as they are delivered, immediately legacy. Applications that cannot be changed, that don't fit into the changing environment. So the principle number one of new application design and in the management of the projects, the planning of the projects, the selecting of the engineers, the programmers, the architects for the project. The principle number one is you want to build a service-oriented system. You want to build a system that exposes its business functionality in terms of programmatic services through the interfaces or APIs, application programming interfaces, and that divides the back end of the application from the front end, so you can build new front ends which are changing rapidly with different new devices and new contexts where application is performed. So you can build many front ends in front of one back end. But also, as you build more such applications, you will find that you can start creating composite applications where one front end uses multiple back ends. This way you create an environment where each new application, each new project, it doesn't stand by itself, but in fact creates components for the bigger enterprise library of functionality. And not just enterprise. Some of this functionality will be exposed to your partners and to your customers and to other users. So this is the way to think of your project today. You have to think of it not as an isolated enterprise project, but as a global class project. A project that's open, the application that's open. It's open to be connected, to be used by others, and it's also open in terms of using applications, using services, using data as necessary from other applications, from cloud sources, from your partners, and from anything that is available to you. So that's a fundamental principle, the service-oriented architecture. And the other principle I'd like to mention is adherence to cloud principles. You will feel pressure from your customers, from your users, as you approach a new project to build applications with the mobile front end that are compatible with social sites, that maybe process big data, extract insight from big data using analytics. All of that is supported and enabled through cloud computing. Mobile front ends depend on the cloud backends. Social systems typically are in the cloud. And big data, most of it comes from cloud sources. So as you build your systems, utilize cloud resources, but also build your systems with the distribution. So some of the components of your systems reside in a public cloud, some reside in a private cloud, and some perhaps are still using traditional architecture. And so, which means that on the path to adoption of the cloud architecture, you're going to move through the step of adopting private cloud capability. You will know that you're building a good private cloud if the subscribers to the resources, subscribers to the services of the private cloud, don't know the difference between going to private or going to public cloud to get computing resources. You have to expose to your projects the computing resources through a self-service interface, and only behind that interface should it be visible whether the resources belong to the private environment or public environment. The subscribers should not have to know, should not need to know, and in most cases should not even have an opportunity to know. Therefore, you're going to build a gradual bridge into a public cloud computing where you are free to choose public resources when they're applicable, private resources when they're useful, or stay outside of the cloud when that's the best approach to the design. You want to leave yourselves options. You don't want to lock yourself into any one particular architecture, even the most modern architecture. You want to build your environment in a way that gives you opportunities to choose, make decisions for future projects, and most importantly, and I guess that would be principle number 3, build your systems for change. Understand that the moment that you deliver the system, the process will begin of changing it, to adapt to new requirements, to adapt to new technology opportunities, to expand it, to integrate it with others. Nothing today in software stays unchanged. And so those are the 3 principles. Build service-oriented architecture, build for using cloud in mind, build for cloud architecture, and build for change. It's my great pleasure to speak to all of you, to the members of this important organization. I hope that it is useful for you to hear Gartner's views, and I hope many of you will have access to more Gartner research and will become long-term members of our community.